Darwin Platform Group of Companies is one of the fastest growing diversified Indian conglomerates with global footprints. It is setting up offices globally and tying up with companies across the globe for multiple sectors. The company has ventured into real estate and construction, stockbroking and finance, arms and ammunition, mining, airlines and many other sectors.
Hello and welcome. You're watching Business Today Television. I'm Sakshi Batra and this is Market Today, a show where we'll help you understand the closing action on the D Street. Joining in with me is Shell Bhatnagar as well. Well, we've been seeing a volatile trading action, even though right now you can see again a bounce on the Nifty, 137 point of an uptick, 21,378 right now on the Nifty. Sectorally, the action looks, there is buying action across broad-based markets as well. Metals are shining brightest, 2.6% higher in trade. The Nifty Bank, however, is the one that has lost the gains from the morning trade, 0.3% down right now for the Nifty Bank. It's pulled down by losses in the private banks as well as in the financial services space as well. And the other pocket that's looking slightly weak right now is the real estate space. But it's the metals, oil and gas, PSU banks and the broader markets that are shining bright in trade. Shell?
Good afternoon, Sakshi, and a very warm welcome to viewers who've joined us on Market Today for the last 1 hour's commentary on what is turning out to be a fairly decent day amidst all the pain and all the expectations or fears of a further drawdown. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the Nifty is at its highest level so far, about 143 points higher, 21,381 in the cash markets. Is it a dead cat bounce? Only by 3:30 will we know, and of course tomorrow being the end of the most volatile F&O expiry that we've seen after a very, very long time. You have the Nifty with stocks such as Infosys, HDFC Bank, Reliance, Bharti Airtel and L&T. These are the index heavyweight counters that are providing the upside for the stock, especially it's Infosys at 1664, 1.4% higher, and out of the 145 points that you see in the green as far as the Nifty is concerned, 21 points are coming from Infosys. The star of the day, of course, HDFC Bank, 1.3% higher, 1445. The story doesn't end here. It's contributed 20 points to the rise on the Nifty. But more importantly, after a 5-day fall, sustained fall with very high delivery volumes and a lot of pain points, the HDFC Bank has recovered from an intraday low of 1380 to 1446. So that makes it a 66-point recovery from its day's low after a 5-day of sustained fall. Let's look at Axis Bank, still in pain. Although the earnings were fantastic, but the market's in no mood to look at earnings at all, especially from the banking sector, down about 2.9%, 1058. This counter was down 4% in early morning trade. ICICI Bank is also down 3%, 998. But what's good is that across the board, Sakshi, you see a fairly decent advanced decline when it comes to broader indices. We track 19 for you, and when it comes to 19 indices, only 2 are in the red. That's realty and banking, but strong moves coming on the Nifty Metals Index. Remember, the first call in the morning was Hindalco on the long side, as also the Nifty PSU banking basket 1.8% higher, 5,913 on the index. 12 stocks making up the index, 10 in the green, and the advanced decline ratio now firmly in favor of the bulls. 1580 stocks in the green on the NSE, 640 in the red, and a fresh intraday high on the Nifty, Sakshi.
Absolutely. Time now to welcome our guest on the show. Nilesh Jain joins in, AVP Technical Research from Centrum Broking. Very good afternoon to you, Nilesh, and good to have you back after a long time on Business Today. Tell us, your own sense of the markets. What did you make of the drop that we saw yesterday, a bounce that we are seeing today? What exactly is going to be sustainable in the markets?
Very good afternoon to you, Sakshi. Good afternoon, Sarensha, and good afternoon to everyone. So good part is that today we have witnessed a smart recovery just a day before a monthly F&O expiry. Now it looks like we are likely to witness a short. That is going to be the next major hurdle for the Nifty index, looking at the derivative data. Now, if we look at tomorrow's F&O expiry data, 21,400 put side, we have witnessed fresh put writing followed by 21,300. Call writers are still very much active at 21,500 and 21,600 strike. So the broader range, it looks like Nifty is likely to oscillate in the range of 21,200 to 21,600. From expiry point of view, the range comes around 21,300 to 21,500. So that could be 500 point expiry range. We are expecting a positive expiry tomorrow, and the structure continues to remain on a positive side. We have witnessed a good correction in last couple of trading sessions. Now today, looking at the today's pullback, I think it is likely to be a sustainable, and the volatility index India weeks have started coming down. We have seen some pull off in today's trading session as well. So if at all it falls further below 14, that will certainly pull the index further on the upside towards 21,500 to 21,600. The good part is that today we have seen a participation from the index heavyweight counters like Reliance, HDFC Bank and other heavyweight counters. So we expect Nifty to witness a further follow-up move, and also broader markets in fact are looking very strong. We are avoiding Bank Nifty for the time being till the time we get any confirmation. It is hovering near about its 200-day moving average. So we have to wait and watch out for a good close on the Bank Nifty front. But yes, Nifty is a buy and decline.
Okay. Now, Sakshi, let's look at stocks that are making fresh highs today, and that's something to be looked at. Motilal Oswal Financial Securities, 15% higher, 1785 for you. Very, very strong momentum coming in post earnings, and the company's also announced a 14 rupee per share dividend. We have a record high on Birla Soft post earnings, 2.7% higher, 822.20. Cummins India Zydus Life up between 2.8 and 3.2 at record levels. Bharti Airtel you've been marking for a while, 2.4% high, 1187. Blue Star, Jyoti Labs, McDowell's post earnings, and of course Medanta now down about 1%, but this is a fresh record high and gaining momentum as far as markets are concerned, led by of course the pharma index. Sakshi.
Absolutely. And you know what's moving the markets right now is also the oil and gas space, especially some of the earnings that have come here. IOC, for example, came out with the earnings 2.5% higher for this one, even though, you know, the GRM's at $13.5 per barrel at this point in time. Nilesh, would you track the oil and gas space? You know, we've been marking out BPCL, HPCL for a while now. After the earnings, would you look at IOC and tell us what's your stance here?
Right, Sakshi. So overall, all the ONC stocks are in fact looking on a positive side. Any dip can be bought into, and the major structure continues to remain on a positive side. Tomorrow we'll be getting numbers from the HPCL as well. So overall, this particular basket as a whole is looking slightly on a positive side. IOC, the upside is open for 150 plus sort of target. Stop loss can be placed below 139. And just want to add Hind Petro, that is HPCL, that is also looking positive. Ahead of the numbers, stop loss can be placed below 443, and the upside is open for 465 to 470 sort of levels. Stick stop loss should be placed below 445 sort of levels on the lower side.
Okay. So that's as far as IOC is concerned. On the metals pack, how are you tracking the entire move, the big move that's coming in on this entire space led by Hindalco, followed up by Tata Steel, which is also higher in trade amid the earnings, as well as we are looking at a slew of other names. Steel Authority is up in trade as well, NMDC, Hindustan Copper, all of these names that are rising in trade. How would you look at this momentum?
So Sakshi, a good momentum was seen in overall metal space today, and in fact, after a fall of past few trading sessions, today we have witnessed a good reversal as well. So Hindalco, yes, this particular counter is looking positive for a pullback to continue towards 475 to 480. Stop loss can be placed below 555. So upside is open for 580 plus sort of targets. And apart from that, counters like NMDC, that is also looking positive for a pullback to continue towards 218 to 225. The major structure is still hinting that NMDC is heading towards a fresh all-time high. So yes, can be bought on declines, and overall metals as a whole pack is looking positive.
Okay, so the entire pack is looking positive. A lot of these metal stocks have been rallying in trade after China has announced a cut in the reserve requirement ratio as well. And China being the biggest country in terms of demand for the metals and commodities, this space is again buzzing in trade. Shall, what else are you looking at?
Sakshi, I can't take my eyes off the Nifty. Now it's at a fresh intraday high, about 175 points higher, 21,412. Now what has happened is that yesterday's fall was 333 points, and about 50% of that has been recovered. We have about 45 minutes of trade left in T-1 penultimate day, and it's looking good for the last half an hour or so. The Nifty Auto Index is also hitting a fresh intraday high, and we are getting strong moves when it comes to the Nifty PSE Index, up 3%, 8,280. Let me just run through my index window. This is something that you need to look at on air. Okay, the Nifty CPSE Index is up 2.29%, 5127. Remember, some time ago, Ashish Chaturmutta was on the show, and he mentioned that the CPSE ETF is something worthwhile to look at. So this is something that you can look at. Now, what else is moving strongly? Sakshi, if you look at the advanced decline ratio on the Nifty, it's now 43:7. And what's really interesting is that the stocks that are down are ICICI Bank and Axis Bank, despite strong numbers. Bit of profit booking on Hero Motors, and Asian Paints and TCS, nothing much to talk about. HDFC Life, very few in terms of losers to talk about. When you look at the volume buzzers in NSE 50, this is the interesting part. Eicher Motors is up 0.3%, 2.4x volume for you. You have Dr. Reddy's up 3.7%, 2.29 times volume for you. Hindalco is showing strong traction, 4.48% higher, with about 1.8%, 8 times the higher volume. And Bharti is something that you picked up really well in the morning, Sakshi. Let's get a view in from the technical panel as far as Bharti is concerned. And Nilesh is with us. Nilesh, 1190 for you. Very strong volume action today on Bharti. Record high as well. What are the charts telling you?
Right, so overall the structure continues to remain on a positive side, and it is trading at all-time high levels, and there is further upside is due, and we expect further move to continue towards 1230 to 1250, but it's not advisable to chase this particular counter at the high levels. Rather, one should wait for some meaningful correction towards 1160 to 1140 for fresh entry. Those who are already holding the long position, I would advise to stay put for the upside target to continue towards 1250. Stop loss should be placed below 1160.
Okay. And another exciting thing, Sakshi, has happened. The breakout, as far as this point is concerned, 21,461, is on a thick window with the fairly decent volume on the 5-minute chart on the Nifty. If you look at that in terms of the Nifty futures volume, you'll notice that this is the third highest volume bar that has happened. Maybe 21,400 call is something that we should look at for the next week's expiry. Let me try and pull that out for our audience. I am looking at the next week. Let me just, this will take a while. Okay, we are looking for the monthly number. Sakshi, why don't you just carry on? I'll get that number for our viewers.
Sure. Nilesh, let's also look at some of the other F&O movers at this point in time, especially the entire power space that's coming back in full throttle. Apart from the, big heavyweight power names that we keep on discussing, NTPC, Power Grid, Coal India and the like, we're also looking at power finances come back. After a long time, I'm now looking at REC and PFC that are again gathering fresh momentum. How would you look at this entire space and your favorite stocks from this basket?
Right, Sakshi, so yesterday we saw a big correction in majority of the power related stocks. REC, PFC both witnessed a sharp decline And today, a smart recovery, I would say a rebound can be seen in both the stocks. Both REC and PFC are looking positive from a position point of view. Specifically, PFC looks strong for the further upside move to continue towards 435 to 440. Stop loss can be placed below 405. Any dips can be used as a buying opportunity. And apart from that, NTPC is another counter that is also looking positive. And the position target for this particular counter comes around 330 to 340. Stop loss can be placed below 300. That's the immediate support of a double bottom for this particular counter. So overall, majority of the power related stocks are looking on a positive side and can also be added on decline.
Okay. Shell, do you want to check the Nifty call?
Yes, actually, I am just looking at the 21,400 Nifty call, which is for the Feb 1st expiry, and at the moment it's trading in the vicinity of 277 rupees. Let's get a view in on this one. Let's see whether the PCR is able to isolate this one or not. Nilesh ji is with us. Yeah, Nilesh ji, this one. We have 266, 267 in front of you. This is already up 60%, but then this was during the fear time. Sakshi, what's really interesting is, as Nilesh will confirm, the most recent high on this one is 777 rupees. It's now at 267. How do you play this, Nilesh bhai?
Right, so I was also looking for 21,400 call, but that's for tomorrow's expiry. So only for high risk taker, that strike can be bought within the range of 90 to 100. Although we have seen a quick spurt in last few minutes, but yes, to play on slightly on a safer side, first Feb 21,400 strike, where earlier we saw high of more than 750 rupees. Currently, it is available near about 270 rupees. Yes, it can be bought. And upside is open for 350 to 450. That's from next 1 to 2 days point of view. And stop loss should be placed below 220, and it's advisable to add in the range of 250 to 260. We have witnessed a quick move in last few trading sessions, so better wait for some decline. The structure for the Nifty is looking strong, and we may see upside to continue towards 21,500 to 21,550.
So this is how, Sakshi, this is at the moment. We seem to be running into some kind of a momentum. If you see the 5-minute chart on the Nifty, about 11 candles are in the green, which basically means that the market has been in an uptrend for the last 55 minutes. And Nilesh is right. Let's wait for this to cool off a bit, and only then will we take a look at it. But strong momentum. The reason why I pointed this out was on the 5-minute chart, there was a huge volume bar which had led to the breakout of price from the morning high, and therefore this particular call 21,400 came into momentum. Let's see how it goes over the next 45 minutes, but for the moment the market seems to be healthy and running up on fairly decent volume and price action on the long side. Sakshi.
Okay, let's now look at the entire auto and the auto ancillary basket as well. A lot of earnings are coming about, a lot of news flow that's happening from this space too. Exide Industries posted a Q3 earnings where the profits after tax have risen about 2.3% year on year to 203 odd crore rupees. And Bajaj Auto is reacting ahead of its numbers, 1.4% higher. We have Exide that's now looking slightly in a sideways pattern only as far as the earnings are concerned. There's one more news flow with respect to Maruti, and that's the news is with respect to its recently launched Fronx SUV that's clocked the fastest 1 lakh sales in the passenger vehicle category as well. So a lot of auto space news that's coming in. Tell us, Nilesh, how would you look at this entire basket, two-wheelers, four-wheelers, as well as the auto ancillary names?
So Sakshi, our focus is on two-wheeler space, specifically counters like Bajaj Auto and Hero MotoCorp. So these are the two stocks that are looking positive on the chart. and we are advising to buy on declines, specifically Bajaj Auto, where the upside is open for 7,500 plus sort of target. Stop loss can be placed below 7,000 on the closing basis. So certainly we are getting more confidence in the two-wheeler space rather than four-wheeler space. Another stock, that is Hero MotoCorp, that can also be added at current level for the upside target of 4,600. Stop loss can be placed below 4,300. Overall overall auto and auto ancillary as a whole looks positive. Even if you look at the tire stocks, where we have seen a good momentum in last couple of trading sessions. So counters like Apollo Tire, JK Tire, both the stocks are also looking strong on the chart.
Okay. Um, the other space that's buzzing very, very strongly is the banking space, especially a lot of earnings are coming about here. I'm looking at a few counters like IDBI Bank. If we look, the stock has surged about 10.5% right now. Even shares of South Indian Bank are up in trade today. They're all hitting respective multi-year highs as well. And this is after the earnings that are coming about for these companies too. Again, a reaction to that one. Nilesh, could you tell us, chartically speaking, which of these banks would look more positive at this point in time?
So Sakshi, all small ticket size banks are moving today, and counters like South Bank, IDBI, both the stocks are up close to 10%. Both the stocks are looking strong on the chart. For IDBI, the upside is open for 90, 95 sort of target, and it's advisable to buy on declines rather than chasing on a strong momentum day like today. So the ideal buying range could be 80 to 81 for IDBI, and the stop loss should be placed below 76. The overall structure looks positive for 90 to 95. South Bank is also looking strong for 38, 40 sort of target as a positional bet. Stop loss can be placed below 31. And apart from that, a couple of other names like PSU banking names like State Bank of India, one of the heavyweights. So that counter is also available at a corrected price, can be added for the upside target of 640 sort of levels on the upside. 600 should be the stop loss.
Sakshi, I'd just like to mark one particular set of stocks, and of course I'm hinting at the PSU pack. Remember, we started our conversation in the morning at IFCI.
Yeah.
It was up 7% then. 1 hour later it was up 14%, and now it's circuit up 20%. MTNL is up 20 at about 41.75. I am very cautiously marking this price because this is where volume and price action and momentum is. These are absolutely no signs that people should get into this in any which way. We have National Fertilizer 8% higher, 121.70. SGVN 7.5% higher, 112. Sakshi was mentioning the entire power pack that is moving up. National Aluminium 7.8% higher, 136.30. HUDCO, GRE, RECL, Power Finance Corporation, NBCC, all up between 5 and 7%. Absolutely no let up when it comes to the momentum space of low ticket, high beta. All dips in the morning have been purchased very, very handsomely. I'm not even going into IRCON, I'm not going into IRFC, IRCTC, RVNL. All those stocks are also up as well. Very, very strong momentum coming in. I tracked 78 PSUs, Sakshi, and out of 78 PSUs, only about 6 are down, and the biggest loser is down 1.4%, which is Scooters India. Frankly, it's not a stock that one really cares about, but that's how it is, Sakshi. All extremely bullish.
Okay, so the PSU pack continues to buzz even now, despite the strong momentum that we've already seen over the past many weeks and months. What we'll do is we'll take a very, very quick break right here. When we return, we'll discuss some more stock ideas for all you viewers out there. The Nifty, meanwhile, 180 points higher now at 21,118.
Darwin Platform Group of Companies is one of the fastest growing diversified Indian conglomerates with global footprints. It is setting up offices globally and tying up with companies across the globe for multiple sectors. The company has ventured into real estate and construction, stockbroking and finance, arms and ammunition, mining, airlines, and many other sectors.
In today's rapidly evolving business environment, when risk is omnipresent, managing risks is no longer just about ticking a few boxes. Businesses need to maintain a panoramic view of risks to stay ahead of the curve. Join us to explore how organizations can rethink risk to unlock new possibilities and become fit for future. At PwC presents De-Risking the Future in collaboration with Business Today. Celebrate 32 years of leadership in business news with Business Today. From the groundbreaking AI cover of Sundar Pichai to PM Modi's exclusive on G20, we redefine headlines. Now our 32nd anniversary issue explores India 2029, the 5-year agenda with industry titans sharing exclusive insights. So, just BT it for unparalleled perspectives. Business Today, 32 years of leadership, innovation, and business brilliance. Subscribe now.
Welcome back. You're watching Market Today on Business Today Television. I'm Sakshi Patra, with me Shell Bhatnagar, and we are in conversation with Nilesh Jain of Centrum Broking. Nilesh, again, a lot of buying action that we are looking at, especially in the broader market scenario. Stocks like HFCL, they're now up by 12% odd or so. Again, KEI Industries, that's again up by 11 odd percent. We're looking at HUDCO at 8% higher, Tejas Network 6% up in trade, Chambal Fertilizers 5.5% higher. How are you looking at these moves, and does any of the stock really attract you at this point in time, and you would advise a buy?
Absolutely, Sakshi. So a couple of names that you have just mentioned are also on our radar. So HFCL is one of them, where if you look at on the monthly time frame chart, we have already seen a beautiful breakout from a symmetrical triangle formation. So the breakout came at somewhere around 80 rupees, and the upside move, I think it is likely to extend further towards 150 to 120. So this particular counter, again, we are advising to buy on declines, keeping stop loss below 94. And upside on immediate basis, we can expect 110, and positional target would be around 120 to 125. Apart from that, counters like Hudco, where the structure continues to remain on a positive side. So this particular counter is constantly forming a high top and high bottom formation, can also be added at current level, and on decline for the upside target of 175 to 180. Stop loss can be placed below 145.
Okay. All right, so these are as far as the momentum stocks are concerned. We're
Let's,
also now joined by our special guest, Sharad Avasthi, Head of Research at Smiths, now joins in. Sharad, very good afternoon to you. Good to have you with us. Tell us, what are you making of the markets right now, the kind of volatility that we've seen all through this truncated week, and what follows next?
Yeah, good afternoon. Thank you for having me on the show. I think volatility is something that we should be prepared for over the next this whole calendar year, roughly, more so during the first half of the year. And it started on a volatile note even in the first week of January. And I think this is going to continue for some time as major economies go into elections and all that hype and hoopla turns around. And then obviously you have the view around interest rates. We keep dilly-dallying around the whole issue that whether interest rates have peaked out and whether when they are going to go down. And things change at a very fast clip. The G6 was signaling something that the interest rates are certainly going to go down at a very fast pace. And suddenly over the last 15 days, the views have again changed. So I think this is something that will keep happening till such time over the next 2 or 3 months that we start seeing the final view that yes, interest rates start coming down. But till then, I think event-based volatility and election-based volatility will be there globally as well as at the domestic level. And I think every news has its pros and cons. So based on that, expect the first half to be a bit volatile. I do not expect a very big correction in the markets, but these corrections of 1,000 points on the Nifty, which is roughly what, 4-5%, I think you should take it in the course of your trade and course of the markets. So I'm not very unnerved by this, but I think everyone should be clearly in for a volatile session, maybe till elections are over, at least in India.
Okay. A very good afternoon to you, Sharadji. And the Nifty welcomes you with a double century. We have 21,419 for you. Now up somewhere like 183 points. But before you started speaking, it was a perfect double ton welcoming you. I just wanted to understand, were you able to buy your stocks which you had thought had come to juicy levels in yesterday's trade? Of course, today was, of course, this 14, 15, 20-minute window right at the start where markets were a little weak, but then no let up in the rally. Anything that you were able to add for your clients yesterday and today?
Some of the smaller names we have been looking at, but they are more long-term positional bets that we are looking at. Within the front lines, I think HDFC Bank does make sense. I think the correction is overdone in a lot of ways. Even Kotak, we feel with the kind of management changes that is going to happen and already happened, the effect of that will be visible as the bank dons a new avatar, the more digital kind of avatar. So I think both HDFC and Kotak make decent sense. SBI yesterday was at very attractive levels, I think around 600. You still are working with targets of around 750, so that makes sense. Rest of the pack, I think the railway stocks, the way they corrected, I think it was very normal. Valuations, except probably BEML, I don't think valuations there leave any headroom for much of a growth. But right now the optimism is there and the markets are always right, so you don't know how long it can go on. But if you are considering valuations, I think most of the stocks are valuing 3-4 years down the line, so it's very difficult to kind of comment on them. But BML does certainly look like a good idea that we are looking at. And some of the smaller names we are looking at are within the consumer durable space, Crompton, an Orient Electric maybe, or something like an Offbeat Symphony. These are ideas we think could do very well in the long term.
Your view on HDFC Bank, of course, even till today morning, it was a wonderful opportunity to add for those people who have this missing in their portfolio and wanted a reasonable 18-month low. Where do you see this headed? Is the crisis over, or is this a dead cat bounce?
No, I don't think this is a crisis. In price terms, yeah, in the medium term, you can say that after such a sharp fall, maybe this is a dead cat bounce. But what I feel is that valuations per se are not very expensive and integration benefits are still to kick in. And there are a lot of integration benefits that will come in because HDFC and HDFC Bank have a lot of uncommon clients within them. Many HDFC clients don't have an HDFC Bank account or do not have any relationships with the bank and vice versa as well. So I think cross-selling opportunities will emanate. The insurance business will also work better with all these HDFC business kicking in. And I think the NIM part that the market is very nervous about, it's a very normal course. Gradually, CASAs will pick up the type of branch additions. They are talking about 1,500 branches a year for the size of HDFC Bank. I don't think it's a small task. And I think these are things that will play out over the next 1.5 years. Any quarter you start seeing improvement, I think the interest rate reversal will be one key trigger from where most banks will start showing much better numbers. Barring that, I think deposit growth, advances growth have also not been up to the mark in this quarter. The negative point that I look at is most probably the asset quality in places, not an HDFC Bank, but rest of the banks, that has been an issue. But I think it's a very temporary issue. There have been a lot of regulatory changes that may have kicked in. But beyond that, I think HDFC Bank is a very fair value at this current levels. We are working with 550, 600 kind of book value 1 year forward. And even conservatively 3 times is easily possible. So I'm looking at 1800, 1850 to start with. And with HDFC Bank, a lot of re-rating can happen once the elephant starts to run.
Okay. Sharad, although there is no comparison, but the other stock that I wanted your view where there has been a deep correction and a sharp bounce again today is Zee Entertainment. Of course, the news was negative, but 32% of a fall that we saw intraday yesterday and a 7% bounce today. How would you really look at the stock? And do you think these are the levels that investors should look at? A very long-term investor looking at the prospects of Zee at this point in time, which are unclear, does it make sense?
Yeah, I think after this correction, it does make sense. 160, 65 bucks. What are you talking around 10, 20, 20, 10, 15 kind of multiple on the static numbers. I think Z is not expensive at these valuations, and the prospect of another deal coming through, I don't think we can deny that with the kind of activity we are already looking at within the Indian media space. So I think there will be suitors who will be looking at an entry through Z. Uh, Regarding the corporate governance issue, I think that is one pain point. The company has always hogged the limelight for these wrong reasons. And I think it would have been better if they had put in more effort in getting the Sony deal through rather than leaving it to the Lord. But I think, yeah, at these valuations, you don't have much to lose, and you need to have a longer term trajectory, hoping that someone or the other will come in. And most probably that the company does not goof up anything again with the corporate governance side. So then I think it makes a decent bet at these valuations. Uh, you have some risk in terms of time as well as in terms of your risk appetite, because some negative news here and there can obviously result in the stock cracking 10-15% on any given day. So if you have that kind of risk appetite, it does make sense to stay in the stock. And I think long term, you should be looking at what, even if it reports 15-16 bucks, I think if everything falls in place, you could easily get somewhere around 250-275 on the stock on a good day.
Okay, so that's as far as Z is concerned.
Okay.
You know, the. Yes, Shell.
Yes, actually, please continue. Please continue.
Sharad, the other space that I wanted to discuss is the broader markets, the mid and the small caps. You know, 1.5 to 2% higher almost in both of these sectors, despite having such a strong momentum in the entire 2023, 40-50% of a surge. Concerns were raised around overheated valuations, but perhaps there is no let up in the kind of rally that we are looking here. How are you placed in the broader market space now, and any particular pockets that you still find value in?
See, I think, yeah, the run-up has been steep. In some pockets, maybe the valuations are also absurd. Some of the new age companies, maybe some of the railway stocks, some of the smaller defense stories that may be discounting, 3-4 years in advance. So within pockets, yes, there are some smaller companies which do not have the credentials to back the kind of price movement we have seen, and it's more story than actually really something happening on the ground in terms of the numbers that the company will report maybe over the next 1.5 year. So these are places where you are at risk, where it is all story and no numbers. But then within that space, you have companies like the consumer durable space. I think the agrochem space is a very sweet spot opportunity, even if you look at large caps like PI Industries or UPL. Maybe they have 1 or 2 more quarter where they have problems, but after that, the type of valuations they are trading at, you could be easily looking at 30-35% upside in these stocks. That is at a very conservative level. It should go even beyond that. So I think agrochem is one space. The whole chemical space has seen a bit of run up, but I think there could still be more leg in companies like, say, Deepak Nitrite. Navin Fluorine has been very subdued because of various reasons. I think these are stories, PI Industries, UPL, Navin Fluorine, even an SRF. They are excellent companies. Once the timeline changes, I think they could ramp up very good numbers. Uh, the consumer durables is one sector which I'm betting on for the next year because of the bond inclusion, lower oil prices. I think that should be in a very sweet spot. So companies, smaller companies like an Orient Electric could be a very good beneficiary out of that. On the chemical side, even a Heikel could be a very good story to bet on. So I think these are some stories you could bet on. I think there are pockets within sectors and within the broader market. The mid cap, small cap basket is pretty wide basket. So there are sectors where you have some opportunities. But yeah, across the board now to choose a stock and choose a market and get into it would not be easy. But stock specific, you would get many opportunities going.
Fair point. And Sakshi, we are seeing a fairly smart burst coming in post 3 p.m. Lots of stocks doing pretty well when it comes to within the Nifty. Let's look at M&M. The reason why I focus on auto is because as a sector within the Nifty, about 5 out of 6 shares are in the green. And we have M&M 2.4% higher. This is accompanied by a fairly decent show in open interest. Remember, now you will see a lot of rollovers happening for the Feb expiry, and some stocks seem to be having a fairly decent number. 46% rollovers happened in M&M. When you look at how M&M has behaved as far as the month is concerned. This is to the extent of a negative 6.4%. So we'll have to keep that in mind. It's Bajaj Auto, Sakshi, where the rollovers are 40%, I'm so sorry, 66%, and the counter is not only the top gainer in the auto space today, but also up 7% as far as the Jan expiry is concerned. This is something worthwhile to look at, although a lot of preference has been given to Hero Motors over Bajaj Auto, but a pending buyback has also very strong momentum. Sharadji, choice between Hamara Bajaj and fill it, shut it and forget it, Hero Motors.
Sir, valuation wise, I think you can still go for Hero Moto because Bajaj Auto is a tad expensive. And I think for Hero Moto, there are two more triggers that are in the wings. One is the new launches that they're looking at. The other is the ramp up on the electric side, and one more could be the export side trigger as it plays out. For Bajaj, I think the export trigger has already played out. Now, the doldrums that they were in over the last, say, 1.5 years, they would most probably be coming out of it. So that could result in some better numbers. But Hero has the electric Bajaj also has it on its side. I think they will also gain out of it. But so I think the differentiating factors would be comparatively cheaper valuations for Hero Moto in comparison to Bajaj Auto, as well as the electric, as well as the exports kicking in as a good future growth driver for Hero Moto Corp in addition to the electric vehicles. So I think Hero Moto Corp that has still run up, but I think valuation wise, if you have to choose between the two, I would go with Hero Moto Corp.
So Sakshi, another sector, let's get Sharad's view in is the pharma space. Record highs on Cipla, Sun Pharma, Apollo Hospitals within the Nifty space, and very strong momentum on Lupin, the likes of Aurobindo Pharma, Granules, and of course Dr. Reddy's. Sharadji, anything in the mid-cap pharma space you think has the capacity to show strong momentum based on the quality of earnings?
I think stories like RT Drugs could do very well. Even one other story, Piramal PPL, Piramal Pharma, that has some legs to go up to 180 maybe. I think the way the debt restructuring has happened, everything has happened, they could improve. Granules is a good idea where valuations are not not expensive at all, and that could provide very good growth in the long term. Barring this, I think there are a host of names offhand you can occasionally cannot remember them. And within the large cap, I think we would like to stay with Dr. Reddy. The valuations are still compelling, 300, 325 kind of EPS. We are still less than 20 times. So I think that could be one name that could continue to do well amongst the large cap space. Amongst the mid cap, small cap, I think RT Drugs could be a good name to have on your portfolio. And RT Pharma Labs also one of the demergers that they have done. I think that's a very good long-term bet where a lot of capex is happening on one of the products, most probably Xanethine. And I think that could result in a lot of re-rating for that.
Okay. Right.
Fair point. Sakshi.
Sharad, I wanted to ask you on this sector that we haven't discussed right now, but it's also participating in this kind of a recovery. It's the IT space. You know, we've seen a slew of numbers come out from the mid-cap IT names as well. Names like Coforge, Birlasoft, Persistent Systems really. And, you know, solid set of earnings are coming about from this space, the mid-cap IT basket. How would you look at this space and your favorite stocks from this place?
See, Coforge and Persistent have reported very good numbers. Birlasoft has been riding high on the hope of the products within the ADAS and automated driving space. But I think this is a space where the valuations might not offer you much comfort, though Persistent and Coforge will grow at a much better rate than the rest of the industry. So that is why the premium is justified. But at these valuations, I think it is a tad expensive or a stretch or a bit stretched actually, don't call it expensive because the growth rates are also pretty good. So I think going in with something like Mastech could be a very good idea. The company is still trading at what, 15, 16 times. And I think that is a story that could do very well going ahead. Earnings growth should be very strong next 2 years. You could conservatively be working with targets of around 3,000 on that to start with. And emphasis could be a very good story betting on the interest rate reversal because they have a lot of products within that banking basket lending market. So I think they could see a lot of recovery along with the reversal in interest rates, which I'm personally betting on over the next 3 to 6 months. So these two stocks I think could you could bet very strongly within the mid cap, small cap space in the IT equipment.
Okay, it's rare for Sharadji to stick his neck out and actually give a price target, and he set 3,000 for Mastech. We are already at about 2,700, so that's fairly close. We had a stunning set of numbers from HCL Tech, Sharad, last week. The counter, of course, opened gap up the same day and hit a record high. It's available, fairly close to its all-time high. Would you have a view on HCL Tech as well?
Yeah, I think the only issue with HCL Tech is that it's been the first mover. The numbers have been good. We are modeling in 10-12% kind of growth for the next 2 years. With the recovery in US, most probably these numbers will get a bit re-rated. You would maybe looking at 15% kind of growth. So 70 rupee kind of EPS, maybe it goes up to $75. You're already trading at somewhere around 20-25 times 2 year forward. So I think the scope of re-rating happening or additional growth coming in for these companies from here on would be difficult because the valuations are at a certain level. And HCL Tech usually has not got premium valuations. So I think that is the only point. So I think 20-25 times forward, it doesn't leave much on the table. And the type of markets we are in, every day we have a new news flow. So unless and until you have a much longer horizon, I think it would be better to go in the large caps with Infosys. I think the re-rating there could be much bigger. LTIM and Tech Mahindra also, I'm hoping much of a more re-rating to happen in those companies rather than HCL Tech. For LTIM, it is largely because of their enhanced presence in generative AI as well. I think that is a space that is bothering most of the IT companies. So LTIM has a first mover advantage there also. So I think LTIM with the merged entity being much larger in size, that could be the company which could surprise you on the upside in the times to come.
Indeed, the preference is towards mid-cap as far as the software sector is concerned. Sharadji mentioned Mastech as also Birlasoft and of course L&T Mindtree. Sakshi, what are you watching? We have 10 minutes left.
10 minutes left, and you know what is being searched the most on our channel right now, as social media trends tell me, is Alok Industries. 10% higher right now at 33, 34 odd levels, Charan, and people are questioning, is it the hidden gem that one should include in their portfolio? So I'd put that question right across to you for all those people who are searching this on Business Today.
A difficult question to answer. In the earlier avatar, I would have clearly said a no, but with the Reliance being there in one of the driver's seat, I think there is a possibility that this company might turn around. But with the current numbers in place, I don't think there is much scope. So I think you better wait. This is a slow-moving sector, and it is not that something happens overnight. In between, during COVID, I remember there was a lot of talk regarding them supplying PP kits and everything happening, and they ramped up. Recent numbers I haven't looked at, but I think it would be better to avoid such stories that are again based on too much stories rather than actual numbers. So once actual numbers start kicking in, I think it's better even if you buy 10-15% higher, but let the numbers start kicking in rather than just buying on stories.
Okay, better to avoid this story.
Actually, I think this advice is very, very sensible.
Yeah.
Because see, what's happening is that people are bidding up the price, and some of these stocks are, well, let's just say, better managed than better run. It becomes very difficult. Of course, a 10% circuit attracts you immediately, and a lower price point is the double trigger. But one must, do some basic homework, whether it makes sense or not. And clearly, Alok Industries, as per Sharadji, is not what it seems at the moment. But like I said, we have 8 minutes left. The Nifty is definitely moving towards a fresh intraday high. I have 234 in front of me. 21,472. While it's just 8 minutes left and it's asking a bit too much whether we can reclaim 21,500. But what is good is that yesterday's 333 point fall, we seem to have recovered, let's just say a sensible 220 out of them. So 63% of yesterday's fall is back with the bulls as far as the Lal Street is concerned. Tomorrow will be the FNO expiry for the month of January, which has been intensely volatile. The Nifty so far is down about 2.2% in the month of January after a 13.5% rally in December and November put together. Sakshi.
Absolutely. So the other stock that I was looking at in the FNO space, especially that's bouncing, is Polycab. You know, 6.8% higher at this point in time. Sharad, to you, you know, what was the story 6 months back, 5 months back, probably, you know, in Polycab? People were betting big on it. Investors were like keeping this on their radar, and then came all the negative news flows on the company. We did see some sharp knee-jerk reactions, and the stock is again started to move. How would you look at Polycab right now?
Yeah, I would like to avoid it only because I think the type of claims that have been made, though they are still in a very vague fashion, we don't have any clarity. The management has been denying it, that they have not received any confirmation from the income tax department. But the claims that have been made leave very little room for a company trading at, you know, 50, 60, 70 times forward. I think for a company trading at that valuation, any negative news can substantially decouple your valuations, and then obviously whether your numbers come in or not, there is no belief in the numbers whether they are true or not. Though Polycab has been a value creator for quite some time now, the type of valuation run up that we have seen in most of the wire companies has been astounding actually, and Polycab has been at the front of it. So I'm hoping that they don't have an issue, but I would like to avoid it till such time that I have very clear indications whether the issue is there or not, because the claims that have been made have been of false sales and this and that. So it makes it very difficult for you to analyze the numbers when you're not sure whether the numbers have been actually reported, exist or do not exist.
Okay. So that's as far as the wire space is concerned.
Sakshi,
Sharad,
that's the crisis that we are facing on
yeah, sure.
a couple of stocks like Polycab, Zee, Paytm, that you know, the most immediate future appears to be clouded, whether because of regulatory changes, whether because of question marks on management integrity, or you know, regulatory probes into how sales are being done. All that is also impacting sentiment on the Lal Street. If you look back, you know, we've had a crisis every week. The latest, of course, being Zee. Before that, it was Polycab. 2 weeks, 3 weeks ago, it was Paytm. So one after the other, there is a series of, you know, questionable question marks that impact sentiment on the Lal Street. And while it makes perfect sense to analyze market in the hindsight, कि वहाँ से नीचे गिरा और अब बढ़ गया, we should have bought at that base, but you know, the fact remains that those regulatory overhangs remain. Sakshi.
Sharad, you know, the entire power space that has been in the thick of action all through, all year round, last year as well as right now, of course, with the recent announcements coming in from Prime Minister Modi on the renewable energy, solar power space as well, it's putting the spotlight back again on some of these companies, be it the power producers, transmitters, even the power financiers at this point in time. And now when you talk about an extension into the renewable energy space, the solar makers at this point, how would you look at this entire space, and if you could recommend top 2 or 3 power stocks that one should have in their long-term portfolio, because this story is for a long time, 5-10 years down the line, we're looking at a structural story that continues to build on.
Yeah, thank you for asking a story about 5-10 years. You rarely get that nowadays. Yeah, so Power Grid, I think, is a very good story that you can bet on for the long term, because with the advent of renewable energy, there is a high probability that we would need much stronger grids. China, once renewable energy started happening at a higher pace, they already were facing problems regarding dissemination of that to and fro on the grid. So the grid upgradations had to be required. So long-term power grid obviously will be in a space of that. I think Tata Power have not been very bullish about it for quite some time now because of the valuation discomfort. But with the PM announcing the Har Ghar Solar, most probably that is what it will be called. So I think that could be a very big trigger for Tata because they are already into that space. And so I think Tata Power could generate a lot of work out of that announcement. And it's a 1 lakh crore kind of opportunity. So it should be very big for Tata Power. Similarly, I think within the space, long term, I'm very bullish on Sterling Wilson Solar. I think next quarter onwards, the numbers should start showing very good improvement. Not that it is not showing improvement right now, but still most probably beta level losses are there. But the management commentary has been very positive. The order book has been positive. There is a big order build-up happening from Nigeria. Once that happens, I think that could be a very good play to have in your place. And Wari within the smaller companies, I think Wari could be a very good beneficiary of this solar thing. I think Wari Energy is a very uniquely positioned place. They are already working on rooftop solar. So I think Tata Power and Wari based on the rooftop solar initiation. And regarding the long term, I think Power Grid remains a very good play. The valuations right now might not be very comfortable, so you can gradually pick it up over a period of time. And Sterling Wilson Solar, I remain very bullish long term on the stock. Another story you could look at could be Borosil Renewables. They are the largest producer of solar glass panels in the country, and they have international operations as well, European operations. And they are adding capacity. Even if they do some dilution, I think that is a story that could also double from here. So if you are betting for big money, smaller names, Wari, Sterling Wilson Solar, and Borosil Renewables could be good name. And within the larger players, I think Tata Power should be a very good bet based on this rooftop solar scheme that the government has announced.
All
Well,
right.
Sakshi, the market is now drawing down 266 points higher, 21,465 for you, 1.1% uptick on the Nifty. And after yesterday's very, very strong drubbing, almost 60-65% of that downdraft is back with the index on the penultimate day of January's FNO expiry. Remember, tomorrow is the end of January's series, and it's been fairly painful. Let's look at stocks that have outperformed today within the Nifty, and first and foremost of them is of course HDFC Bank. The counter closing at the moment 1.56% higher, 2% higher, 1476 when it comes to 1456 when it comes to the price. And let's look at the volume on HDFC Bank. 6,170 crores. After 5 days of very serious downdraft, you have a counter up as far as prices is concerned, but the market's not enthused with the banking sector. ICICI Bank sheds 3% on very heavy volume, 3,400 crores. Axis Bank, despite a fantastic quarterly announcement yesterday, has not sort of found favor with the market, 2.7% lower on volumes of about 2,193 crores. But what is back and back with the bank is the entire PSU basket of very, very speculative, high beta, low ticket items. Amongst the top gainers, IFCI 20% higher, MTNL 20% higher, Midhani 13% higher. You have NFL 8.7% higher, SGVN, HUDCO, IRFC, RVNL, IRCON, all of them gaining more than 5% on very, very strong volumes, and of course from a very sharp downtick that was there in the first 5, 7, 10 minutes of trade. Sakshi, what have you observed?
Well, Shal, you're right over there when it comes about the PSU stocks and the PSU banking names, and this entire space has been, buzzing, and it continues to. There is no let up in this kind of a rally that we've seen here. And even the railway is back, Shal, with the kind of momentum that we are still looking. We were thinking that perhaps yesterday was the day that could be the beginning of a correction in this space after a long haul, but looks like they're back in action again, and, investors are just not willing willing to let go of the momentum that this place is continuing to bring in. All right, with that, ladies and gentlemen, we draw down to a close into this edition. Many thanks, Sharad, for being with us on to this special edition, sharing with us such wonderful insights. As far as markets are concerned, good day for the markets after a volatile trading action, 1% higher for the Nifty, 21,453. We end at the day's high. The Nifty Bank up with gains, 45,000 protected on the downside, 67 points higher for this one. Sectorally, the action was largely positive, barring private banks. Rest of the sectors have managed to eke out gains today. Of course, it's the metal space that was shining the brightest, 3% higher, along with the media stocks, oil and gas, PSU banks, and the mid and the small cap sectors that showed a momentum above 2% or so. When we talk about the stocks from the F&O space, REC, PFC, Steel Authority, Aditya Birla Fashion Retail, Nalco, Polycab, Zee Entertainment, these were the stocks that bust with about 6 to 7% kind of gains. On the top line, when we talk about Nifty, Hindalco, Dr. Reddy's, Tata Steel, IndusInd Bank, Power Grid, HCL Technologies and BPCL were the other top movers as far as the Nifty gainers are concerned. On the losing side, on the Nifty, you have the banking names. ICICI Bank, 3% lower in trade despite strong earnings. Axis Bank, 2.5% lower in trade despite strong earnings. Asian Paints, Adani Ports, HDFC Life, Tata Consultancy Services, the other stocks that dragged the momentum in trade today. But just about 6 or 7 odd names down in the red, about 8 odd names down in the red. Rest of the stocks were up. As far as the Nifty is concerned, Nifty 500 included stocks which were buzzing in double digits: HFCL, HUDCO, IDBI Bank, all upwards of 10%. Then you had Borosil, General Insurance Corporation, Indian Railways Finance, Infibeam Avenues, Indus Towers, all of them buzzing anywhere between 6 and 9%. With that, we wrap up today's trading session. What's been a volatile trading action, but it's ended well. We'll have to keep all our eyes on tomorrow, which is the F&O expiry for the month, and see how the markets really take it from there. Do stick around on Business Today TV, as there will be enough and more action on your screens even after this.
Darwin Platform Group of Companies is one of the fastest growing diversified Indian conglomerates with global footprints. It is setting up offices globally and tying up with companies across the globe from multiple sectors. The company has ventured into real estate and construction, stockbroking and finance, arms and ammunition, mining, airlines and many other sectors.
In today's rapidly evolving business environment, when risk is omnipresent, managing risks is no longer just about ticking a few boxes. Businesses need to maintain a panoramic view of risks to stay ahead of the curve. Join us to explore how organizations can rethink risk to unlock new possibilities and become fit for future. At PwC presents De-Risking the Future in collaboration with Business Today. Celebrate 32 years of leadership in business news with Business Today. From the groundbreaking AI cover of Sundar Pichai to PM Modi's exclusive on G20, we redefine headlines. Now our 32nd anniversary issue explores India 2029, the 5-year agenda, with industry titans sharing exclusive insights. So, just BT it for unparalleled perspectives. Business Today, 32 years of leadership, innovation and business brilliance. Subscribe now.
Hello and welcome. You're watching Business Today Television.